the entrance into your money kind of like channel is number 19. You know, more masculine side when it comes to business, when it comes to specific tasks in your life.
And so when I released that block, love was like coming my way, and it was amazing. Me to have that mirror in front of me. I met Joe Rogan, and like I know now like what's in here. It's not something that can be like taken away. Like you're living right now of who you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it's
a lot of numerologists, they're like, oh, I'm gonna look at your number and say what you should do. I don't think it's correct. A profound insight for me, and it turned everything in my life like upside down. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Julia Dars, and I have a guest today.
Hi there, I'm Katelyn.
And how do you spell your last name?
It's Curcio, C-U-R-C-I-O.
Yeah. I have trouble also pronouncing it. But today, the mission of this video is basically to introduce you to numeric psychology and the method that I'm using. And Katelyn had an experience with this. It's called the STAR. This is the method that we will be presenting also on our retreat in October here in Austin. So if you are interested in attending it and learning this method and also learning about yourself more, we will link all the helpful links in the description below. But today I would just want to go over Katelyn's numbers.
Yeah.
And I don't want to feed her into the numbers. I want to ask her experience, and we will give the description of her numbers. We have her star right here, so and also you can see it on the screen for your convenience. So I guess we're gonna start with the personality triangle, which represents obviously our first mission, right? Like who we are as people, as human beings. Our environment also, people who surround us. And when I said mission is like, you know, like your higher self. So here in all the numbers, what they show the best version of ourselves. Obviously, you can see a lot of different numbers, so we're not gonna go over them all here because it's gonna take a couple probably days. But we're gonna go over the major, the ones that are on top, and we're gonna just describe those, and we'll see. I would like to ask Katelyn also a couple of questions, like how they play out in your life. What did you see maybe before you found out about what they mean? You know, like because also what numeric psychology shows you is basically like where the blocks are and what to work on, which is kind of very cool because like now the guesswork is out. You're like, oh, okay, cool. That's me. I see what I need to work on, and I see how it playing out in my life. So we're gonna start with the personality triangle, which is you have number 4. You were born on March 31st, and 31st is a higher number than 22. So we summarize 3 plus 1, which we got 4. And I want you to ask you, because you obviously know the description of number 4, but I also would like to ask you what, like before, I guess, getting to know this information about yourself, like before knowing it, how did you see that actually was playing out in your life?
So yes, like number 4 is the masculine energy, correct? So it's
emperor.
Emperor, yes. So it was definitely, I kind of naturally in my like nursing career like rolled into like management roles and like led the teams and like kind of took control of the situations. I was very organized and had a certain way of like doing everything. I was praised for my efficiency and for my organization, and I kind of also then didn't allow for there kind of to be like another way, which was definitely a problem.
Which is probably one of the negative sides of number 4,
for
right?
Sure.
Like being like not really flexible, and also it's like for some information for a woman, number 4 obviously should be kind of reduced a little bit to number 3, which is number 3 is the Empress. And number 4 is the Emperor, right? So and I don't want to say it's bad or good, right? Like it's very amazing, but also knowing that, oh, maybe I have a little bit more masculine energy, not like I'm not a man. It's a masculine energy. It's a feminine energy. It's just energies that have different qualities, right? So maybe if I bring into my life a little bit more creativity, connection, a little bit more flexibility, something will change, right? Sorry, continue.
No, so that's what, like, with the course, that's like what I was starting to do. I was inviting like more creative avenues into my life to break that down, to unlock a little bit more of that feminine, and being okay with like seeing another perspective, and being okay with if it wasn't exactly how I wanted it done, like that was going to be okay too. Like taking in others' opinion.
How did it change your life?
Oh my gosh. I think between 4 and our next number, it completely changed like relationships for me, specifically with my mother and my sisters. I really struggled with like a female connection. And so I think I just like kind of put up that block to the emotional. I didn't want to like dig into my emotion. And because of that, I didn't allow them to like really get connected with me. And so when I released that block of being okay with digging into my emotions and being more in touch with like my feminine energy, it completely changed the relationship that I had with them. Yeah. And I realized that it was me kind of putting up that block, not allowing others to give me like even if it was just like a concern or an opinion, like anything, they were like afraid to almost give it to me because I'd always put up such a wall. And once I released that, then I was like, all this love was like coming my way, and it was amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So like, if you think about like the negative side of the world, we have duality, right? So we definitely need sometimes like both of the qualities to be whole. That's how like I see it. You can't really push away certain things because then they're gonna push back. But also understanding and acknowledging that they exist and not choosing to use them in your life.
Right.
It's like Emperor number 4. Maybe sometimes it's very good to like have that more masculine side when it comes to business, when it comes to specific tasks in your life that you need to accomplish. I think it's amazing quality to have. But then when it comes to like being more flexible, that's where the feminine part comes in, right? That's where like, well, if you think of like what is it? Probably water, right? So it's very flowy, and when we're super stiff in life, it's like it creates that kind of box where you're like, okay, and now also for other people, because that's how they see you, because that's what you kind of like bring to the world, and the world is like, okay, got you. You don't want to hear that. We're not gonna even tell you anything.
For sure. And like for a long time, I've heard this like multiple times from people. It's like I have this like exterior that people have to like break through me to then actually see like, oh wow, okay, like you have like this loving, affectionate side, but I initially like kind of put up like a wall.
Yeah.
And I don't do it anymore, but I used to, like, people struggled, like new people at work would always be like, okay, like it took like a few months for me to like actually like get to know you. And I'm like, oh yeah, like, I don't know. And I don't know like if it was like where that stems from.
It's interesting because like we met, and I guess it also comes down to like how you feel other people, but I immediately felt like that you're a very sweet and light person, but I haven't met you in like a work scenario.
Yeah.
Like, like where it's your kind of like space.
Yeah.
So do you remember maybe like specific behavior or like the way you were showing up for them? Like,
it was just like, I was very task focused and task oriented. So if like there's a new person, it's like, okay, yeah, nice to meet you. Like, let's get like to work kind of thing. I know. I know. I'm like, okay, I got to get to work, and like we do it. And then like, and I was never like, that obviously comes off like as rude for sure, but like I never meant it to be like that. I was just like, I'm so like task oriented. And then I was like, man, like I kind of gotta stop doing that, because after a few times of people being like, oh yeah, I didn't like really like know much about you for like months of like working with you, and I was like, oh, sorry. Like that's really bad.
That's interesting. How did you feel about it, like when you realized that?
I felt bad because I never want to obviously make someone feel uncomfortable. So like I was like, oh man, like I did that to somebody. And probably initially I defended it because I was like, oh well, like I'm like here to do work. Like I'm not here to like make a connection. But again, I learned like I need to change that. But yeah, definitely in the beginning, I definitely probably defended it, knowing my personality.
For sure, interesting. Yeah, You have also 11s here and the 7, which is like also leader. Those are very strong numbers for a woman, having this in the personality triangle especially. And she has 14, which is the temperance, which is like kind of like living in balance with everything. But also if we combine 1 and 4, it's 5, which is also a goal-oriented number. Those are very strong numbers in terms of like achieving stuff, you know, like and it's good that like you have those, but you also realize like certain things about yourself that you're like, oh, okay, so I can actually turn it around a little bit.
For sure. And this definitely like allowed me to have that mirror in front of me to really see it. Yeah. Like I had like some major crucial conversations with myself like during this success code.
What can you recall any, I guess maybe like about the personality? I know it's been a little bit a while since we've gotten through the course, but like can you recall any maybe particular block or like that kind of stood out for you when you're like, oh wow, maybe that's something you didn't know?
I think, well, I mean, just having the personality, like looking at that whole triangle, like the 11s and 7s, I was like, wow, like of course I am so defensive. I have like this like thicker exterior, like struggle to like with the emotional part. I'm trying to think if there was, I remember one of the negatives, like within that space was like that callous exterior. So then to like break it down and like get more like tap into like the creative. And so like I remember that week, like I picked up like a little like crocheting kit. I had like all these little things to like allow myself, because I was already starting to like try to get more in like that creative space, but like go outside like really my comfort with it.
Yeah. What do you feel like what did it add to your, I guess, already very bright and light personality?
I'm basically that like I need to just like break that wall down. That was a big thing for me, and like just being okay with.
How are you feeling without the wall?
Great, for sure. Like I feel so good. Like I have realized like who I am like deep in here, like through the success code, and like having just knowing exactly like who I am and like what I'm supposed to be here for. And it's to like help others like find their love for themselves. And one of my things like during this whole process was like realizing like it all starts with like loving yourself in here, like once you figure out like who that is in here.
Yeah.
And like you have all these labels like you're given like all throughout your life, and you know, your daughter, wife, employee, all these different things, and like roles. You don't even know like who you actually are. And I struggled with that for a long time of not knowing that, and like this really helped me to like break that down. Yeah. And like I know now like what's in here. It's not something that can be like taken away. It's not something that somebody can put a label on. And like I want to help people to find that for themselves.
Ooh, I have chills right now. I have chills on something. Okay, so we're gonna move into the spirituality triangle, and basically that also shows your connection with your family, lineage, and also, as it speaks for itself, spirituality, right? Like what kind of qualities are you bringing, like helping others, like through what energies? And Katelyn has 3, which we just literally described, right? Like, but in the negative side, 3 could be 4. And that's what was disconnecting.
I was like a double, I was like a double 4.
yeah. Like it just was disconnecting you from like, you know, that kind of, I guess, a more feeling, more emotional connection with your, especially female line, right?
Yeah.
Also, there's a number 10, which is the Wheel of Fortune. Number 10 is also a leader, you know, obviously, like, so she is very leading in her life, for sure, very empowering. She has 18, which is the energy of the moon, which is a little bit of mystical, I mean, like, you know, like mysterious, I would even say. And I want to stop on that and really ask you, because like in negative, 18 has that amazing, first of all, like you're probably connected to the water. You like,
I love to swim.
Yeah. So, and also like 18 could manifest things very easily, right? It's about like deep connection to your soul as well, like being very in tune with the intuition. And on the like a negative side, they can also manifest a lot of fears or a lot of, you know, like negative thoughts that are happening, and that's what may play out in your life. did you notice anything with your number 18?
So I always had this feeling that like I had something like this in me. And then once we were going through this, and I was like, oh, okay, like I do have that
and you
power.
have a fatal mistake, which is 18, which is like you need to turn it into the positive in this life. So yeah.
Yeah, like I've kind of had this feeling that like there's something that I do have like an intuition or connection, or like my thoughts really do like end up happening. This is like a real story. Like for a long time, I've always said that I'm very proud of like how I keep my house, and it's always clean and everything else.
Yes.
Because it's like a reflection of me. And I was saying, and I've been saying this forever, that like one of my husband and I's joke is that like when we meet Joe Rogan, like we're gonna be out partying, and we're gonna be like, oh, everyone like come back to our house and like hang out. And within probably a month and a half after I realized that, I was like, oh wow, I do actually have this power. I met Joe Rogan. We were at his comedy club, Comedy Mothership. We were in the green room with him, with a ton of other comedians, had a conversation with him. He didn't come back and party at the house, but like still it's like this weird feeling of like I've always known but
the house is ready.
The house is ready.
And that's I want to kind of like point it out certain things for people as well. Like you don't have to wait until something happens. You actually have to do it right now and be that person right now, so the reality can actually reveal it to you. So imagine the scenario if, let's say, Katelyn was like, oh, well, I will make my house, I don't know, like cleaner, better, whatever. When I know that Joe Rogan is coming, and imagine next day Joe Rogan is coming and the house isn't ready.
It's a mess. I know.
So that's that's kind of how it works.
Yeah, and I mean like and you helped me with this too, because just like that idea of if you are living and doing exactly like what that person is who you see yourself to be, then like that's all there is. Like you're living right now of who you're supposed to be. And ever since I started doing that, it's been amazing. Like my life is really great.
And, we close with Katelyn, so I know what's happening. Anything in particular you remember about like spiritual triangle for you?
So again, with the 3, with the feminine line block, that's between 4 and 3, like those 2 weeks, because that's the first 2 weeks we did it. That's when I had complete breakthrough with like my female relationships. And I realized that one of my negatives is I always had like friends and girlfriends and stuff like through high school and college and like during my 20s, but like, just over time, like those friendships just like faded. And I was like, okay, like that's whatever. Like, and I didn't let it bother me. I was like, okay, well, that's it. It's over, I guess. And then I realized I'm like, I wasn't showing up like how I should have probably shown up for the relationships. And like ever since then, now I have like so many female friendships and connections, and like I'm making sure I'm bringing like my part to the relationship. I'm doing everything I need to do. Nothing that's feeling forced. It's just like I realized that like I wasn't showing up. I wasn't putting in that energy, which is like needed for a female connection. And like, it's so important to have that female connection, to have that sisterhood, to have that loving feeling, like you kind of have like when you're like a little kid. And then like you like get older and life happens and jobs happen and everything else that you're like, well, I don't have time for it. But like you really do need it. And it's like so important. Because like I have my husband and I love him and everything, but like having friendships and having girl time and having like conversations and like sisterhood bond, it's so different. Because we recharge each other, right? Yes.
So like any type of communication is giving and receiving energy. So it's like when you have, and after the course, I offered Katelyn to be a part of retreat because I knew she's ready for that, like motherly, I guess, like, like care for people, and like she will be like best candidate for it. And she said yes.
For sure. I can't wait. I can't wait to do it and just like be there for people and like help them and watch them like break through those like blockers and be like, aha moments.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. I have a question. How are you showing up for yourself in terms of feminine energy right now?
I'm still doing like my creative things for myself, whether, that's as easy just as like coloring or journaling, getting deep like into my emotions. Just doing more. I started doing like a Pilates bar movement type class. Again, just being very in tune with like my body versus just like, I typically go to the gym and like weight train.
Yeah.
So like, and like that, you're very in the zone with that. But like with the Pilates and bar, you're very like just fluid and focused on like each little body part as you're going throughout like that hour. So, and that's just, you're just surrounded by women in those classes.
Yeah. So. And it really fills you up with like a sort of a new energy as well.
For sure.
That's why like retreat, I feel like that's just going to be a beautiful container for everyone to share that kind of space and heal each other as well. Awesome. Okay, so now we're going to probably one of the most interesting parts for some people, money triangle, right? So you have number 8, which is obviously very systematic. It's a number that can totally see the cause and effect. It's a number actually connection of the soul, right? And if you like, and we will teach how to calculate it, obviously. But like it's basically starts with, so like for the main block, and I don't know if that will be applied to you, but the main block for 8 when it start like making money is when they actually super want money. It's like when they only connected to the materialistic world and thinking only about money and not, feeling their soul, not feeling their spirit, that there's a spiritual world and materialistic world and they cannot just exist like without each other, right? So can you, comment something on that?
I would say the systematic portion of it is very interesting because in my entire like career as nursing, like again, been in like a management role, coming up with the programs, coming up with all the efficiency ways. And then now as I'm transitioning into like going into the like retreat and like helping to like organize, like thinking of like the way the day will flow and being like operations. The thing with like I'm doing with my husband with our coaching program, he's like the creative mind. And again, I'm still like that operations. So like taking like my skill of being able to like be efficient, bring out the systems, operations is really like how I'm able to like make these like the companies and all that I'm working with grow.
So like the entrance into your money kind of like channel is number 19, and number 19 is pretty much the sun, the energy that think of the sun, what the sun does. Really cares, really surrounds us with like, light, and the sun doesn't care, if you're like good in the way, right? Good or bad person. It shines for everyone. Yep. And Katelyn is a nurse, right? Like, okay, just making sure. So like that's kind of like the beginning of probably like what you felt a calling,
Yeah, for sure. Like I've always wanted to take care of people and like help people. And I have like some hand tattoos, and like I have these this is like so weird. It's like all written, like I had these tattoos for like a couple of years now, and I have this all written out. It's like part of my daily manifestation, but I literally have a sun tattoo.
Yeah.
And the sun tattoo is like I am the light for others. And I'm going to shine bright and help others to find that light within themselves. Like that's one of my manifestations, and it's like written in a journal from like years ago.
And it's funny,
and like it's tattooed on me, and that's what that represents to me.
Yeah, and another thing that I just noticed, which is funny, we have those symbols right there on the wall, and
the lightning bolt.
And Katelyn in the reverse triangle has number 16, and technically, reverse triangle shows that like those numbers are in negative from the birth. Then we need to like put them in a positive way. Number 16 is the energy of the tower, and I'm gonna probably link the image right here so people can see it. It has lightning,
really?
So it's a falling tower, and it's always like if you take a tarot card, 16 is the lightning bolt right there. So it's like it's a destroying thing. But 16, what it means is actually the person who has the quality of kind of like fix something that might be even like. And there's 13 there, which is also like it's a combination of two like wow numbers, which like think of like a crisis management. So these people have the ability to see, you know, like things that were broken, for instance, or like not working, or there is like a, you know, like a dead end, right?
Yeah.
And they can like, wait a second, no, this is the way, this is the option, like I can rebuild it, I can like
let's pivot. Like that's one of my like phrases, like when there's something going on, especially like with just like, you know, businesses and programming and all that stuff that's like we're building out, something comes up and I'm like, all right, well, time to pivot, like, because we can't stop. We just have to like change direction and like figure out a new way.
Yeah. So that's interesting that I'm like, oh my God, look at that. that's her number right there. So looking at your numbers pretty much, we can say like, you can definitely open up just one number, right? And work towards that kind of like best option or higher option of you, and also like combine all the numbers to see like what it like help you. I don't want to say it's a prediction, like it's very, when people like also like a lot of numerologists, they're like, oh, I'm going to look at your number and say what you should do. I don't think it's correct, because what those numbers represent is the inner quality and the energies. You need to put all of those three together to see like what is your mission. Also like you have a soul mission, which is number 6, and it's the energy of lovers, it's connections, family, it's basically building the relationships, it's about communication, right? Showing the way of love, pretty much, but also starting with yourself, loving yourself first, accepting yourself the way you are, you know, seeing imperfections, but also not being caught up into them, right?
And like, I think if you really do love yourself and like you have those imperfections, then like if you love yourself enough, like you're going to be willing to work on those imperfections. And
Absolutely.
Like correct them and like make yourself better. And so, I mean, that's like doing all of these things is like a way of self-love.
So. And I think that what's beautiful also about it is like you have your positive, you know, manifestations of the number and the negative, and really just like that will show you like, and you be like, to me certain numbers, I was like, oh no, I'm not doing this, you know, I have a lot of also 7, and my soul mission is 7, it's a warrior. So my entire life I thought I need to like fight for things, fight for light, fight for people. When I realized that I literally got it wrong. Like I don't need to fight for anything, which is like fight never is good. But I need to redirect that energy of warrior into being a light, into like showing that like, you know, but redirecting into like a more of a loving kind of like wrapping, you know, like, I don't know how to better explain it, but like, and that was a profound insight for me, and it turned everything in my life like upside down. And I'm like, oh, wait a second, I don't need to fight. Oh, okay. Because when you're trying to fight, even if it's for better good, even if you think it's for a higher intention or better things, you're still fighting. And what happens, the world is just mirroring you back. And the world is like, oh, you want to fight? It's important for you probably. Here are all the things that you're going to fight with, you know, instead of accepting the world the way it is and putting that energy of the warrior into creating, you know, like into, oh, I have chills, oh my God, my body is like, I'm having like a download right now, but it's so cool. So coming back to the money triangle, what I was saying is that if anybody can like tell you, hey, I'm gonna do your numerology, like a numeric psychology chart, and I'll tell you what should you do, please run away, because we can't program like numerology, any type of these practices, you know, knowledges. They're not programming person. They're just showing the possibility, and the choice is yours. You can obviously say, well, no, and I met people who maybe not ready for now, like to hear, when they hear something like, oh, you meant to lead, you're a son, you're like you're a leader, and they're like sitting in their house in the box, like, you know, literally afraid of going out. So they definitely not ready, and it's okay. But I think that will show you like, oh, okay, so if this is my block, then I can become a better version of myself, not for anyone, but for myself, for my life. And it's amazing how everything just unfolds, you know, like step by step.
Absolutely.
So like what I see from here is that you have this 11, and she has 11s everywhere. It's like 11, 11, 11, the strengths, right? So again, but putting that strengths into the different kind of like redirecting it from like the fighting to towards creation, right? Like strengths of helping others, but not from telling them what to do, but rather the strengths of showing the way you live your life,
and like guiding them through it.
Strengths
for sure.
to stick to the routine. You know, it also requires a lot of strengths. Discipline, because I don't believe like without discipline I don't know. It's probably it's very hard because your body, your mind will create a lot of things, but also like you have 16, which is that kind of like. It's a very also innovative people. 13 is the energy of death. And death is a rebirth. So sometimes something that already dead, right, can be reborn in a new innovative way, right? So number 5 is the teacher, is the person who is very good in public speaking as well, because as the teacher you need to know how to talk. And I know it's maybe now it's like a new information for you, but like also meaning like the way it's like put together. But like I told, like when we met, I knew she's gonna be coaching. Like I knew she's gonna one way or another, she's gonna end up leading people, right? Like also don't wanna people to take coaching in a wrong, like direction. Coach doesn't tell you what to do. Coaching really is just creating the space, the environment for other people to just open up their potential. That's what I see coaching is. It's not telling you what to do. Those are consultants. You right now working on creating a new coaching business with your husband, which I'm super excited because I think they're like the best for it. It's definitely tell us about
and like it's also so funny is like 6 being like mission for like like lovers, and like when you just said like showing people like the way of love. And so my husband and I are starting a couples coaching business together. And I interviewed when we met. I want to say interviewed, but I asked a lot of questions because it was interesting for me to get to know you. From like, wow, is that amazing? Like, how are you? Like, what is your relationship with your like between you two? How are you like? Do you have any conflicts? How do you solve them? Like, who's leading? Who's what? And that's what they told me, amazing things. And I'm like, wow, that's literally like what we need right now. You know, that guidance for people who didn't have that, or like, and you just, let's not disregard the self-work that you've done with Jared. You know, they are doing a lot of work, and I think every day. Yeah, and like it doesn't come easy, and like you said, it's discipline and consistency, and like it's having those crucial conversations not only with yourself, but then also when you're in a relationship with your partner, because it's like they have their own energies that they bring to it too. So it's all a matter of like being able and willing to work together.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So,
okay, so I think we're gonna kind of like wrap up right now with those 3 major areas. I don't want to say like most important areas. Obviously, I feel like also like the way I see health right now, right? So usually people like don't really care about health triangle, but what I see and how I see health is actually your health is the representation of how you show up in the world. Without this triangle, nothing else is possible. So like you have 3 there. Ta-da. funny, right? So it's also that creation. It's about communication, family, femininity, like feminine energy, right? And that's your comfort of your soul. So what I mean by comfort, it means that this number so like getting back to our conversation, you said when I step into the 3, right, into that feminine, I open up. So 3 also, by the way, if it's a rule like 3 because you're 4, but like sometimes 3 could be like a roller coaster of emotions.
Oh, for sure, like, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but like in the positive, it's that motherly, it's a feminine, it's a woman, it's that creative, but she is also very calm in her being, right? So for you, 3 is that where your soul is in the balance. So when you said like, oh, when I worked on that, and how important it is to have your connection with your family. I know many people don't think like this, but like a lot of things that happen in our life, whether you believe it or not, but it's because we have this connection with our loved ones, with
sure.
our, mom, with our mother, with our dad, with our siblings, and that's so important because you have like the energy of your entire lineage
For sure.
there. And when you decide to go solo, I think you can't. I don't think your life will be full, like atrocious. No, but I feel if you go higher, if you want to go higher, if you want to, and not in the materialistic world, but like in the balance, right? You want to achieve more, if you want to make more money, if you want to be a better person, if you want to have better people around you, you have to have that beautiful connection with your family.
Yeah, and like to that point too, like just at least like understand and like know where you came from.
Oh yeah.
And like you don't necessarily like say you had like a really awful like abusive childhood, like you probably don't want like a connection to that childhood, but you have to at least like understand it and like work through it, because like unfortunately like you are a product of your surroundings.
And to this point, I know like people may blame their parents, but if we take the theory, right, and like we all kind of like, we have a lot of like, I guess, educated guesses and stuff, but like I believe in this theory that we really choose our path before we even come to this earth, right? So like if you had that rough childhood, probably it had to be there to prepare you for that mission that you were brought to this earth to have, because we're really like, if we just like step outside of our box and thinking about ourselves and like really see like on our earth and people around, like, and as the full system, we can literally say, oh my God, I'm very important in that chain of life, and we all are so interconnected. Then, like God, the universe, they don't punish us. They don't just give us the preparation, the lessons we need to learn. And I feel like if you take that responsibility like off your parents' shoulders, and you're like, well, actually my soul chose these parents because, and even if you just read a lot of like autobiographies, a lot of great people, I'm not talking just in regards of money, but a lot of very great people who actually did a lot of good, they were in very unfortunate families, whether abusive or no money, or they were bullied, in the school. But they found that heart, like that love within their heart, right? And then they realized, oh, this is why I chose that family, because it really got me ready for this amazing light path. So anything you would like to add to this? We're gonna come back to the relationship part, because I feel like also relationship, it's very important, because it's not only your romantic relationship, but also relationship with people. Katelyn has 15, and I asked her before we started shooting, has she ever triggered someone, or like because 15, literally number, it's the devil, and they see imperfections in people.
And I do, and it's like really, and like I mean, there are times where I've ever, and we won't get too deep into it, but like now that you say it more and more, I'm like, man, like, like I can like see something and like I hold on to it for like a really long time. And then when like the moment was right, that's when I'd strike, and I knew I was hurting the person at like the lowest. I mean, like bad, mean stuff. So I don't do that anymore. But like that's a very negative trait of me.
But also if you take it in the positive. Same thing in coaching, right? So you can see what's blocking that person.
Yes.
And you can easily say, hey, like maybe you're like a little bit more, like a little bit aggressive in this situation, because you can like literally just like a X-ray to see how can you help this person,
what can I tell them in a loving way that's holding them back?
Of course. Again, you can say in a very aggressive way with the power, and thinking that that's going to be I'm saying the truth, I'm helping the person, right? Or you can say the same truth in a different loving way, and really mean it.
Exactly. That's the thing, like, because someone's going to recognize like when it's not real. But if you're saying it from like a good place and with a good intention, then like it's almost like the universe like recognizes that and is making sure the person receives that then the right way.
Okay. So this is pretty much what we're gonna go over during our retreat in Austin, October 19th. We're also gonna do as a practice neurographics, which you also tried, and that's really to help our brain also align with our soul, align with our inner self, with our subconscious mind in a creative way. We're gonna have a breath work tea ceremony, so really an amazing and safe space for all women to connect. I'm gonna link everything in the description below. And what I want to say is that if you really want to learn about yourself, I'm also working on a program, the one that Katelyn went through, a little bit probably broader. This is what we're going to be teaching in the retreat and in my program as well. So everything will be in the description below, all helpful links. And thank you so much. Thank you, Katelyn.
Yeah,
yes,
thank you.
And we have 3 more things to go over, so it's not the end. We're gonna have a part 2 for sure. But if you have any questions, also leave them in the comments below. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Like this video and subscribe to the channel so you can learn more about your mission and how to find it and how to align yourself with your inner higher self, I guess. Thank you so much and bye.